The snow came without warning. Outpost Kira 7 sat on the edge of a frozen moon, far from any warm world. It was a mining station where workers from many planets lived together. Humans worked beside aliens. They shared food. They shared stories. They tried to survive the cold together. The Kethrani were wolf-like creatures with thick gray fur and golden eyes. They walked on two legs like humans, but they were taller and stronger. They had long snouts and sharp teeth. Their ears could hear sounds from very far away. They came from a jungle world where the sun was always warm. The cold of this moon was hard for them, but they needed the work. They needed the money for their families. Pack leader Varax was the oldest of the Kethrani group. He had led his pack for 20 years. His fur was turning white at the edges. His eyes held the wisdom of many hard winters. He cared for his pack like a father cares for his children. Every member was precious to him. Elder Nara was a female Kethrani with dark fur and kind eyes. She was a mother. She had 3 cubs of her own. 2 other families in the pack also had cubs. 5 cubs in total. They were young, playful, and full of life. The pack called them cat cubs because of an old joke from long ago. The name had stuck. The cubs loved to play in the thermal caves. These caves were 3 kilometers from the main outpost. Hot water from deep underground kept them warm. The cubs would run and jump and chase each other there. It was their favorite place. On this day, the 5 cubs had gone to the caves in the morning. The sky was clear. The cold was normal. Nothing seemed wrong. Then the storm came. It appeared from nowhere. One moment, the sky was pale gray. The next moment, it was filled with screaming white. The wind hit the outpost like a giant fist. The walls shook. The lights flickered. The temperature outside dropped fast. Very fast. -50 degrees. -60. -70. The alarm started screaming. Class 9 Void Storm. Shouted the computer. All personnel must stay inside. Do not exit the outpost. Repeat, do not exit the outpost. Varax felt his blood turn cold. Not from the temperature. From fear. The cubs. The cubs were in the caves. He ran to the communication panel. His claws clicked against the buttons. He tried to reach them. He tried to send a message. But the storm was too strong. The signal could not get through. Only static answered him. Nara appeared beside him. Her eyes were wide with terror. My children, she whispered. Varax, my children are out there. The other Kethrani gathered around them. They looked at the windows. They could see nothing but white. The wind screamed like a dying animal. The snow was so thick that it blocked all light. -80 degrees now. -85. We have to go to them, said a young Kethrani male named Dark. He moved toward the airlock. But Varax grabbed his arm and pulled him back. You will die, Varax said. His voice was heavy with pain. We are jungle creatures. Our bodies cannot survive this cold. If you go out there, you will freeze in minutes. You will not even reach the caves. Then what do we do? Doric shouted. Tears were forming in his eyes. We just let them die? Varax had no answer. He looked at the storm. He looked at his pack. He felt his heart breaking into 1,000 pieces. Nara fell to her knees. A sound came from her throat. It was not a word. It was a howl. A howl of grief. A howl of a mother losing her children. The other Kethrani joined her. They lifted their heads and howled together. The sound filled the outpost. It was the saddest sound anyone had ever heard. It was the sound of a pack mourning its young. The humans in the outpost watched in silence. They did not know what to say. They did not know what to do. Some of them had tears in their eyes. In the corner of the room, a small woman sat alone. Her name was Una Park. She was 32 years old. She was an engineer. She fixed machines. She kept the outpost running. She was quiet. She did not talk much. The aliens often forgot she was there. Why Una watched the Kithrani howl. She watched Nara shake with grief. She watched the snow pound against the windows. She thought about the cubs. She had seen them playing last week. They had chased each other around the cargo bay. One of them had bumped into her leg and looked up at her with big, scared eyes. She had smiled and patted its head. The cub had purred like a small cat. They were just children. They were alone in the cold. They were scared. They were probably crying for their mothers. Una stood up slowly. No one noticed her. They were all watching the Kethrani or looking at the storm. She walked to the emergency locker. She opened it quietly. Inside were thermal suits, heat packs, emergency blankets, and a rescue sled. She began putting on the suit. Her hands moved with calm purpose. Her face showed no fear. Pack leader Varax finally noticed her. He stopped howling. He watched the small human woman dress herself for the cold. "What are you doing?" he asked. Una did not answer. She pulled the suit over her shoulders. She checked the heating system. She packed the sled with supplies. "Human," Varax said louder. "What are you doing?" Una finally looked at him. Her eyes were steady. Her voice was soft but clear. "I am going to get them," she said. The room went silent. Every eye turned to her. The Kethrani stared. The humans stared. Even the storm seemed to pause for a moment. Outside, the temperature had reached -90 degrees. And Una Park finished putting on her gloves. Commander Tae Kim had seen many strange things in his life. He had traveled to distant stars. He had met creatures made of light. He had walked on planets where the sky was green and the rain fell upward. But he had never seen anything like what he was seeing now. A small woman was preparing to walk into death. Dai was 45 years old. He was the leader of Outpost Kira 7. He was responsible for everyone here, humans and aliens alike. It was his job to keep them safe. It was his job to make hard decisions. He walked toward Una Park with heavy steps. "Stop," he said. His voice was firm. "I cannot let you do this." Una did not stop. She continued checking her equipment. She tested the heating system in her suit. She counted the heat packs. She made sure the rescue sled was ready. "Did you hear me?" Tae said louder. "That is an order. You will not leave this outpost." "I heard you," Una said quietly. She did not look at him. "The storm is class 9. The temperature is -90. The caves are 3 kilometers away." Tae listed the facts like weapons. No human has ever survived those conditions. You will die before you reach them. You will die for nothing. Una finally looked up. Her eyes met his. There was no anger in them. There was no fear. There was only calm determination. "They are children," she said simply. Tae felt something twist in his chest. He knew that look. He had seen it before. He had seen it in rescue workers running into burning buildings. He had seen it in soldiers standing against impossible odds. He had seen it in mothers lifting cars to save their babies. It was the look of a human who had made a decision. A decision that nothing in the universe could change. But he had to try. "Una," he said, his voice softer now. "Please, listen to me. I know you want to help. I know your heart is good. But this is suicide. You will die out there. And then those children will still die. And we will have lost you too." Una finished her preparations. She stood up straight. She was not a tall woman. She was not a strong woman. She looked small in the heavy thermal suit. But something about her seemed larger than her body. "Maybe I will die," she said. But maybe I will not. I have to try. I cannot sit here and listen to them cry. She pointed at the Kethrani. I cannot watch a mother lose her children and do nothing. Young Wu, the junior medic, stepped forward. He was a young man with gentle hands and sad eyes. He carried a medical bag. I packed emergency supplies, he said to Yuna. Warming fluids, medicine for frostbite, oxygen tubes. He handed her the bag. His hands were shaking slightly. Tay looked at him with surprise. You are helping her? Young Wu met his eyes. Someone has to, sir. Tay turned back to Yuna. She was walking toward the airlock now. He moved quickly and stood in her path. He blocked the door with his body. His arms were spread wide. I am your commander, he said. I am ordering you to stop. Yuna stopped in front of him. She looked up at his face. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Tay, she said softly, please move. I cannot. Those cubs are alone in the dark. They are cold. They are scared. They are probably hugging each other right now, trying to stay warm. Her voice trembled slightly. They've maybe 1 hour before they freeze to death. Maybe less. And you have maybe 30 minutes before you freeze, Tay said. The math does not work. Then I will walk faster. Tay stared at her. His arms slowly dropped to his sides. He knew he could not stop her. He could order her. He could threaten her. He could lock her in a room. But he knew, deep in his heart, that she would find a way. Humans always found a way. He stepped aside. Yuna nodded at him once. Thank you, she said. She walked to the airlock. Her hand reached for the button. Wait. A voice called out. It was Pack Leader Varax. He ran toward her on his long legs. His golden eyes were filled with confusion and something else. Something like hope mixed with fear. Human, he said. Why? Why would you do this? These are not your cubs. We are not your species. We are nothing to you. Yuna looked at him. She was quiet for a moment. When I was 16, she said slowly, my little brother died in a fire. Our house burned down in a night. I tried to save him. I ran to his room. But the fire was too strong. I was too small. Too weak. I could not reach him. She paused. Her eyes were distant, looking at something far away. I listened to him call my name, and I could not do anything. The room was completely silent. I cannot do that again, Yuna said. I cannot listen to children die and do nothing. Not again. Never again. Varax had no words. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Yuna pressed the button. The airlock door hissed open. Cold air rushed in, so cold it hurt to breathe. Beyond the door was nothing but white. Screaming, howling white, she stepped inside the airlock. She looked back one last time. I will bring them home, she said. The door closed behind her. The outer door opened. And Yuna Park walked into the storm. Varax watched until she disappeared. It took only seconds. The snow swallowed her like the sea swallows a stone. He turned to young Wu. The young medic was preparing the medical bay. His hands were still shaking. Why? Varax asked. Why would she do this? She will die. She knows she will die. But she went anyway. Why? Young Wu did not stop working. He did not look up. But he answered with a voice that was strangely proud. Because that is what humans do, he said. And outside, in the screaming darkness, a small woman put her head down against the wind and began to walk. The cold was a living thing. It wrapped around Yuna like a giant hand. It squeezed her chest. It bit her face. It crawled into every gap in her suit, looking for warm skin to attack. The wind pushed against her with terrible strength. Each step forward felt like pushing through a wall of ice. She could see nothing. The snow was so thick that even her helmet light only showed swirling white. She could hear nothing except the screaming wind. She was alone in a world of cold and white and noise. Her suit's computer spoke in her ear. Warning. External temperature is minus 92 degrees. Estimated survival time outside suit, 4 minutes. Please return to shelter. Yuna ignored it. She put one foot in front of the other. Left foot, right foot. Left foot, right foot. She pulled the rescue sled behind her. It was heavy, but she did not let go. The thermal caves were 3 kilometers away. She had walked this path many times before. She knew it well. But now, in the storm, everything was different. There were no landmarks, no signs, just endless white. She checked her compass. She adjusted her direction. She kept walking. After 15 minutes, her suit beeped. Warning. Heating system is losing power. Battery at 60%. The cold was winning. Her fingers were starting to feel numb. Her toes were tingling. She could feel the frost trying to creep into her bones. She thought about turning back. For one small moment, a voice in her head whispered, "This is foolish. You are going to die here. Those cubs are probably already dead. You should go back." Then she thought about their faces. 5 small faces with big eyes and soft fur. 5 children who were waiting for someone to save them. She kept walking. After 30 minutes, her suit beeped again. Warning. Heating system failure in left arm. Please repair immediately. The heater in her left sleeve had stopped working. The cold rushed in like water through a broken dam. Her left arm felt like it was being dipped in ice water. The pain was sharp at first, then it faded to a deep, dangerous numbness. She used her right hand to pull out a heat pack. She cracked it to activate it. She shoved it inside her left sleeve. It helped a little. Not enough, but a little. She kept walking. The storm grew worse. The wind became stronger. It pushed her sideways. It almost knocked her down. She leaned into it like she was climbing a steep hill. Her legs burned with effort. Her lungs ached from breathing the frozen air. 1 kilometer now. Maybe more. Maybe less. She was not sure anymore. Her mind began to wander. The cold did that. It made thinking hard. It made memories rise up like ghosts. She remembered her brother. His name was Jisoo. He was 8 years old when he died. He had big ears and a loud laugh. He used to follow her everywhere. He used to call her Nuna with such love in his voice. The night of the fire, she woke up to the smell of smoke. She ran to his room. The hallway was full of flames. The heat was terrible. She could see his door at the end of the hall. She could hear him screaming her name, Nuna. Nuna, help me. She tried to run through the fire. She really tried. But the flames were too high. They burned her arms. They burned her face. She fell back, screaming. The firefighters found her on the lawn. She was crying and trying to run back into the burning house. They had to hold her down. They had to stop her from killing herself. Jisoo died that night. She lived. She had never forgiven herself. The storm howled around her. Her suit beeped. Warning. Battery at 30%. Heating system failing. Core temperature dropping. Please return to shelter immediately. Yuna smiled behind her frozen mask. Return to shelter. As if there was any shelter out here. As if there was anywhere to go except forward. She kept walking. Then she saw it. Through the white, through the screaming wind, she saw a dark shape. The entrance to the thermal caves. New energy filled her body. She pushed forward. Her legs felt like they were made of stone, but she made them move. 10 more steps. 5 more steps. 3, 2, 1. She fell through the cave entrance and landed hard on the rocky ground. Inside, the temperature was warmer. Not warm, but warmer. The hot water from underground created a pocket of less deadly air. Maybe -20 here. Cold enough to kill, but not as fast. She looked around with her helmet light. The cave went deeper into the rock. She pushed herself up and walked forward, dragging the sled behind her. Then she heard it. A small sound. A whimper. Her heart jumped. She moved faster, following the sound. In a small hollow in the back of the cave, she found them. 5 Kithrani cubs, huddled together in a ball of fur. The oldest one, a female with dark fur like Nara, was wrapped around the youngest. She was trying to keep him warm with her own body. The others were pressed against her sides, shivering violently. Their fur was covered in frost. Their eyes were closed. Their breathing was slow and weak, but they were breathing. They were alive. Yuna fell to her knees beside them. Tears froze on her cheeks inside her helmet. "I found you," she whispered. "I found you." The oldest cub opened her eyes slowly. She looked at Yuna with confusion and fear. Who are you?" she asked in a tiny voice. "I am a friend," Yuna said. She began pulling out the emergency blankets. "I am here to take you home." She worked quickly. She wrapped each cub in a blanket. She placed heat packs against their bodies. She loaded them onto the rescue sled. They were small and light, but there were 5 of them. The sled was heavy now. When she was done, she looked at the cave entrance. The storm was still raging outside. The White Death was still waiting for her. She had walked 3 kilometers to get here. Now she had to walk 3 kilometers back, in a storm that had only grown worse. With a heavy sled, with a dying suit, the oldest cub looked up at her. "Are we going to die?" she asked. Yuna shook her head. "No," she said firmly. "You are not going to die. I promise." She grabbed the sled rope. She took a deep breath, and she walked back into the storm. Inside Outpost Kira 7, time moved like a wounded animal. Slow, painful. Each minute felt like an hour. The Kethrani had stopped howling. Now they sat in silence, their golden eyes fixed on the airlock door. They watched and waited. They barely breathed. Elder Nara had not moved from her spot near the window. She stared into the white storm, looking for something she knew she would never see. Her claws had dug small marks into the metal floor. She did not notice Pack leader Varax pace back and forth. His footsteps were the only sound in the room. Back and forth. Back and forth. Like a trapped animal. 1 hour passed. Youngwoo checked the medical bay for the 20th time. Everything was ready. Warming blankets, hot fluids, medicine for frostbite, oxygen masks. He had prepared for survivors. But deep in his heart, he prepared for bodies. Commander Tay stood at the sensor panel. He watched the numbers on the screen. Temperature outside, -94 degrees. Wind speed, 160 kilometers per hour. Visibility, 0. No human could survive in that. Not for 1 hour. Not for 2. Unipark was dead. He knew it. Everyone knew it. They just could not say it out loud. 2 hours passed. Varax stopped pacing. He turned to face his pack. His voice was heavy with grief. "We should begin the death song," he said quietly. For the human. For our cubs. They are gone." Nara made a sound like a wounded animal. She closed her eyes. Tears ran down her fur. The Kethrani began to sing. It was a low, mournful sound. A song without words. A song of loss and pain and love. They sang for the 5 cubs who would never grow up. They sang for the strange human woman who had walked into death for children who were not her own. The humans in the room bowed their heads. Some of them cried. All of them listened. The song went on for many minutes. It filled the outpost with sadness. Then the sensor panel beeped. Tay looked at the screen. His eyes went wide. "Movement," he said. His voice was barely a whisper. "There is movement outside." Everyone turned to look at him. The singing stopped. "What?" Varax asked. "The outer sensors. They detect something moving, coming toward the outpost." Tay's hands were shaking as he checked the readings. "It is small, moving slowly, but it is coming." Nara ran to the window. She pressed her face against the cold glass. She stared into the white storm with desperate eyes. "I cannot see anything," she said. "There is only snow." "Wait," Tay said. "It is getting closer." 200 meters. 150 meters. 100 meters. Young Wu grabbed his medical bag. He ran to the airlock. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. 50 meters, Tay said. His voice was rising now. 40 meters. 30. And then they saw it. A shape appeared in the white. Small. Dark. Moving very slowly. It was bent over, leaning forward against the wind. Behind it, something else moved. Something larger. A sled. "It is her," Young Wu breathed. "It is her." Nara screamed. It was not a scream of grief. It was a scream of wild, desperate hope. The shape moved closer. 20 meters. 15. 10. Now they could see more clearly through the window. A human figure in a thermal suit, covered in ice and snow. The suit was white with frost. The helmet was completely frozen over. Behind her, a rescue sled with lumps under emergency blankets stopped moving lumps. "The cubs," Varax whispered. "She has the cubs." Yuna reached the outer door. She stood there for a moment. She seemed to be gathering the last of her strength. Then she pressed the button. The outer door opened. She stumbled inside. The door closed behind her. The inner door opened. Yuna Park fell through the airlock and collapsed on the floor that she did not move. Young Wu rushed to her. He pulled off her helmet. Her face was blue and white. Ice crystals hung from her hair. Her eyes were closed. Frost covered her eyelashes. "She is alive," he said. "Barely. Her core temperature is 31 degrees. She is in severe hypothermia. Help me get her to the medical bay." But Nara did not hear him. She was already at the sled, pulling back the blankets with trembling claws. 5 Kathrani cubs looked up at her with tired, "Mama?" The youngest one said. Nara let out a sound that was half crying, half laughing. She grabbed her children and pulled them close. She held them so tight they squeaked. The other Kathrani parents rushed forward, taking their own cubs, crying and shouting with joy. The cubs were cold. They were weak. They were scared. But they were alive. All 5 of them. Every single one. Varax stood in the middle of the chaos. He watched the families reunite. He watched the cubs cry in their parents' arms. He watched young Wu and Tay carry Yuna's frozen body to the medical bay. He did not understand. 3 hours in a Class 9 storm. 6 kilometers of walking through temperatures that would kill any creature. Carrying 5 children. In a suit that was failing that no being could survive that. No Kathrani. No alien he had ever met. It was impossible, but this small human woman had done it. She had walked through death itself. She had refused to die until her mission was complete. He followed young Wu to the medical bay. He watched them work on Yuna. They wrapped her in warming blankets. They pumped hot fluids into her veins. They treated the frostbite on her fingers and toes and face. "Will she live?" Varax asked. Young Wu looked at him. His eyes were wet with tears. "She should be dead," he said. "By every medical rule, she should have died 2 hours ago." Her suit failed. Her heating system stopped. She walked the last kilometer with almost no protection. He shook his head slowly. But she is human, and humans do not know when to die. Varax looked at Yuna's pale face. So small, so fragile, so impossibly strong. She saved our children, he said quietly. She gave us back our future. Young Wu nodded. Yes, she did. And on the medical bed, Yuna Park's frozen lips moved slightly. Just a little. Almost a smile. Her work was done. 2 weeks passed. The storm ended after 3 days. The sky cleared. The ice sparkled under the pale sun. Outpost Kira 7 returned to normal. Machines hummed. Workers worked. Life continued, but nothing was truly normal anymore. Not for the Kithrani. Not for anyone who had been there that night. Yuna Park woke up on the 4th day. She was weak. Her body hurt. But she was alive. Young Wu told her the news with gentle words. She had lost the tips of 2 fingers to frostbite. Her left hand would never be the same. She also had some damage to her toes and ears. She would heal, but she would carry the marks of that night forever. Yuna looked at her bandaged hand. She flexed her fingers slowly. 2 of them did not move all the way. The cubs? She asked. Her voice was rough and dry. All 5 are healthy, Young Wu said. They recovered fast. Children are strong. He smiled softly. You saved them, Yuna. Every single one. She closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. But she was smiling. On the 14th day, the doctor said she could leave the medical bay. She was still weak. She still needed rest. But she could walk. She could sit. She could return to her normal life. When she stepped out of the medical bay, she stopped. The entire Kithrani pack was waiting for her. All of them. Adults and cubs. They stood in rows, their golden eyes fixed on her. The cubs were in front, their fur clean and healthy, their eyes bright with life. Yuna did not know what to say. She stood frozen in the doorway. Pack leader Varax walked forward. He moved slowly, with great ceremony. His gray fur was brushed smooth. His golden eyes were shining with something deep and powerful. He stopped in front of Yuna. For a long moment, he simply looked at her. Then he did something that made every Kithrani gasp. He lowered himself to his knees. He bowed his head, and he pressed his forehead against hers. Among the Kithrani, this was the highest honor. It was only done for the most respected members of the pack. For heroes. For legends. For those who had proven their worth beyond all doubt. No outsider had ever received this honor. In all of Kithrani history, no one from another species had ever been welcomed this way. Until now. Yuna Park, Varax said, his voice thick with emotion. From this day forward, you are pack. You are family. Your name will be sung in our histories. Your story will be told to our children and their children and their children after that. Until the stars themselves grow cold, we will remember what you did. Yuna's eyes filled with tears. She did not know what to say. She was just an engineer. She fixed machines. She was not a hero. She was not special. I just did what anyone would do, she whispered. Varax pulled back and looked at her. His golden eyes were sad and wise. No, he said softly. You did what only a human would do. You walked into certain death for children who were not your own. You gave your body to the cold. You sacrificed your fingers so our cubs could live. He shook his head slowly. No other species would do this. We have lived among many peoples. We have seen many brave acts. But nothing like this. Nothing like you. Elder Nara stepped forward. She was crying openly. In her arms, she carried her youngest cub. The small one who had almost died. The one the oldest cub had wrapped herself around to keep warm. You gave me back my son, Nara said. Her voice broke. I can never repay you. I can only thank you. Thank you. Thank you forever." She placed the cub in Yuna's arms. The small creature looked up at her with big, trusting eyes. "Hero," the cub said. It was trying to say hero, but could not quite manage it. "Hero!" Yuna laughed through her tears. She held the cub gently, feeling its warmth against her chest. Its heart beat fast and strong. A life that would have ended in the cold. A life that was now full of possibility. The story did not stay at Outpost Kira-7. The Kathrani told their families. Their families told their friends. The story spread across communication networks. It jumped from ship to ship, from planet to planet, from system to system. Other species heard it. They discussed it in their homes and their meeting halls. They argued about it. They wondered about it. A human walked through a Class 9 storm for 3 hours. A human carried 5 alien children through 6 kilometers of frozen death. A human lost her fingers to save lives that were not her own. Why? The question echoed across the galaxy. Why would anyone do this? Why would a creature risk everything for strangers? For aliens? For children who meant nothing to her? The answer was simple and terrifying, because she could not do otherwise. Because standing by while children died was not something humans could accept. Because humans did not calculate the odds when lives were at stake. The Galactic Council took notice. They had always seen humans as a minor species, small, weak, short-lived, not important. Now, they began to revise their opinions. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the smartest. They did not live the longest or travel the fastest. But they had something else. Something rare. Something dangerous. They had a fire inside them. A fire that made them run toward danger instead of away from it. A fire that made them lift impossible weights and survive unsurvivable odds. A fire that burned brightest when someone needed help. Other species feared death. Humans defied it. Other species counted the cost before acting. Humans acted and counted the cost later. Other species asked, "Why should I help?" Humans asked, "How can I help?" The story of Yuna Park spread across the stars. It became a legend, a warning, a promise. If you ever found yourself in trouble, if you ever needed help when no help seemed possible, there was one species you wanted on your side. One species who would walk through fire and ice and darkness to save you. Humans thought they would come for you. No matter how far, no matter how dangerous, no matter what it cost them, because that was what humans did. And the galaxy was never quite the same.